Hello, I'm Tim Smith with the Adams County Historical Society, and welcome to another episode of Monuments Monday. And again, this week, we're going to talk a little bit about Hancock Avenue and some of the features along Hancock Avenue associated with the battlefield and some of the monuments here. So we're standing in the middle of David Ziegler's Grove. It's interesting that the term Ziegler's Grove, unlike Little Round Top or Culp's Hill, doesn't appear on the early maps of the battlefield. Like, it's not on the Warren map, it's not on the Batchelder isometrical map, but I did find a newspaper article describing the events of the battle in 1869. Definitely people were referring to this as Ziegler's Grove. And in John Batchelder's 1873 tour book, Gettysburg, What to See and How to See It, he mentioned Ziegler's Grove as you drive along the Emmitsburg Road. The Grove is owned by the Honorable David Ziegler, and he died in 1882. And according to his obituary, he was probably the oldest native citizen of the town of Gettysburg. He was born in Gettysburg on January 23rd, 1798, 2 years before this became Adams County. So he was born in what was then York County, Pennsylvania. And he resided in the town his entire life. For many years, he was engaged with Joel B. Danner in the carriage making industry and had a large carriage maker shop on East Middle Street at one time. He was elected associate judge in 1856 and again in 1861. So that's why they refer to him as Judge David Ziegler. And at the time of the Civil War, he lived in a house on Baltimore Street, and on the west side of Baltimore Street in the first block, not far from the Fauna Stock building. And, when I was looking into it, perhaps he was born at that property, but he always lived there. He never lived out here in this area. He owned several properties around the town, and at the time of the battle, a tenant farmer was living at the Ziegler house where Ziegler Grove is. And we'll show a map so you can be able to see where Ziegler's Grove is in relation to the house. On the 1869 Warren map of the battlefield, it's referred to as the Emanuel Trossel house. But again, that guy did not live in that area at the time. He just happened to live there in 1868, 1869 when that map was surveyed. Another thing about the Warren map, for the elevations on the map, they chose 500 feet as a benchmark, which was right near where the Soldiers' National Memorial would be. And according to that map, right over here in Ziegler's Grove, it's 485 feet above sea level. Now, granted, that Warren map turned out to be 120 feet off in its elevation, so we're actually 120 feet higher above sea level. But in 1875, there was an advertisement for this property in the Adams Sentinel, and they referred to it as a valuable farm adjoining the borough of Gettysburg, or in Cumberland Township, lying between the Emmitsburg and the Tonytown roads, containing about 30 acres, about 2 acres of which is in woodland. It's also improved with a 1.5-story frame house, frame barn, and wagon shed. And of course, the woodland is referred to as Ziegler's Grove and was here during the battle and a prominent feature in the fighting on July 3rd. And, you know, depending on your take on the battle, you can see this from Little Round Top. Some people say that, the Southern Army used it as a landmark in their charge against Cemetery Ridge on July 3rd. So Ziegler's Grove became one of the more important features associated with the fighting. Now, we mentioned the early history of the GBMA and Hancock Avenue in the last video. When the Gettysburg Battlefield Memorial Commission, the War Department, took control of the battlefield, they actually paved Hancock Avenue through Ziegler's Grove, and they put up towers. And one of the towers they placed here, 5 metal towers were placed around the battlefield in late 1895, early 1896. And one of them was here at Ziegler's Grove. According to the report of the Gettysburg National Military Park Commission, these are all solid and well-built structures, and located as they are, they afford the observer a complete and satisfactory view of the entire scene of the great battle and enable him to get a consistent and accurate idea of it as a whole. And of course, we are fortunate for our study of this area that William Tipton put his camera on top of the Ziegler's Grove Tower and took images of this area. And one of the things I'd like to point out is that Ziegler's Grove had sort of died off between the time of the battle, or was, the timber was cut off of it and used, and it was kind of open. And one of the first projects undertaken by the Gettysburg National Military Park Commission was to attempt to replant trees here as part of the grove. Besides putting the avenue in and the tower, they also put what they referred to as a walk through Ziegler's Grove, a walking trail that you could walk up and through the grove and out towards the high watermark in Hancock Avenue. I think we'll share some images of it, and Gary Edelman, who is a big fan of the War Department Commission book, always thought that the term walk was like an official term to describe this, instead of just being a term to describe a walkway. The walk through Ziegler's Grove. Now, apparently the regrowing of Ziegler's Grove didn't take, and over the years there have been like 3 different attempts to restore Ziegler's Grove to its 1863 appearance in wartime glory, and currently we're in another of those phases where we're trying to regrow the trees to their approximate appearance at the time of the Civil War. But one of these views from the top of the tower looks towards the town, and you can see what was the Ziegler tenant house. And there are some really nice views from the top of the tower looking towards the Emmitsburg Road, the future Steinway Avenue, before all the tourist attractions were along it. And there are some nice views looking across the fields of Pickett's Charge, but the money view, the one that everyone wanted to see, was the view from the top of the tower looking down Hancock Avenue towards the Round Tops. And that image, each time someone recorded it, it was made it was for sale in town as a cabinet card, and eventually you could buy it as a postcard as well. Now, there are monuments in Ziegler's Grove, and I want to tell you a story about 2 of them that I find very interesting. Thanks for watching. And if you like the content that we put on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you can learn of our upcoming videos.